So if you're in the UK like me and you've been looking forward to getting a haircut, then great news. Hairdressers and other retail establishments are going to start reopening soon. However, if you run one of these businesses, then you're probably wondering how you're going to meet some of the government requirements about recording your bookings and capturing customer data. My name's Richard from Arcible, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at a service that's included in Microsoft 365 called Microsoft Bookings. Microsoft Bookings is a service that's available for you to use to allow customers to self-service book appointments, for you to enter appointments on their behalf and then have confirmations and reminders sent out to them. But more importantly, in line with the government rules, it's going to allow you to capture some of the information about those customers so that if necessary, you can use that as part of track and trace for the coronavirus pandemic. So the Microsoft Booking service is available on both the Microsoft 365 Business and the Microsoft 365 Enterprise plans. It's really easy and straightforward to get set up, and there's a lot of options in there to give you the flexibility to configure it and customize it how you need. If you're not already licensed for Microsoft 365 or any of the product suites that include Microsoft Booking, then we'll include a link down in the description below so that you can get started by signing up for a free trial. And then if you choose to continue using Microsoft Bookings, you can convert this trial license into a paid for subscription in the future. So we'll head over to the PC now and we'll show you how you can create a booking page, how you can customize that to meet your requirements, and then how you can publish that out for your customers to start using it. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning for setting up Microsoft Bookings, just in case you're new to this. So to begin, you're going to want to open up your web browser. So for this, we're using Microsoft Edge. And once you've got your browser open, you're going to want to go to the app launcher for Microsoft 365. And the address for this is portal.office.com. Now, you might be prompted to sign in, but just because of the device that we're using, we're automatically signed in. And as you can see, we've got a list here of all of the apps that are available for us to launch in Microsoft 365. Now, the apps that are shown here are the recently used apps, so you may not see Microsoft Bookings listed here. Now, if that's the case, then you're going to need to hit this All Apps button to bring up the full list of apps available to you, and just there we can see Microsoft Bookings. So if you click this, it's going to take you over to the Microsoft Bookings page. Now, if you've not used Microsoft Bookings before, then it's going to immediately take you to a page where it's going to ask you to create a new Bookings site. Now, we've already been into Microsoft Bookings previously, and so when we did that, we created a bookings page for a company called Fuzzy Hair, as you can see here. So once you've created your booking page, it will look very similar to what we've got on the screen here. Where you can see this pair of scissors up in the left-hand corner, you'll have an option here that says Add a Logo, and if you click that, it's just going to give you the option, as you can see on the right-hand side here, to upload a new logo. So if you've got a company logo or a picture that you want to use there, then that's absolutely fine. There's some quick links that you can use across the top here, just for getting to things, but everything's also listed down the left-hand side. So in terms of setting up a bookings page, there's an order that we would recommend that you go through this. So initially, we'd recommend that you start on the business information page and you set up everything about your company initially. Once you've got your business information page set up, we'd then recommend that you head to the services page to configure the services that are in your company. And then if you wish, you can also add your staff members here, and we'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And then finally, you can then publish your booking page to make it available. Once the booking page is published, you can come back and update it and make changes at any time, and those will be reflected immediately. So let's head to the business information page to show you what that looks like initially. So on the business information page, we can enter some fairly basic information about the company, but some of this does also feed into the booking page itself. So we've got obvious things like the business name. You can enter a business address. Now, we'd recommend that you actually enter this as a proper address format, especially if you're a company that does have a physical office that customers are going to be visiting, because this does get shown on the booking page and it makes it easier for people to maybe use something like Google Maps on their mobile device if they're having a hard time finding you. You can enter a phone number here so that will appear on the booking confirmations also, and then you can specify an email address that will get used for sending copies of the customer emails that you might receive. If you want to specify your website address, a privacy URL or terms and conditions, then you can enter those. And you've also got the option here to specify the business type. Now, if you specify a business type, so we use the hair salons, which is just one of the out-of-the-box options. What it will do is it will try to apply some defaults to your bookings page, such as some default services, just to give you an illustration of what kind of things you can do with Microsoft Bookings. Lastly, on this page, one of the things that you can also do is specify your currency, because when we specify the services in a minute, we have the option to add prices to those so that customers can see how much things are going to cost, and you obviously want that to be in the correct currency. Once you've specified everything you want here, you just hit save at the top and you're done. So the next page we're going to look at is services, and services is where you actually advertise what different services or products your business wants customers to be able to use. So we've just specified two here: haircut, long hair, haircut, short hair. But if you want to add additional options, then you can simply hit the add a service button up here in the top left. If you need to modify an existing service, then you can hit the pencil icon here to edit. Then there's the dustbin here that you can use to send those to delete. So we'll open up haircut, short hair, just so that you can see what one of the existing ones look like. So the basic fields that we're going to want to get completed initially is the service name, and that's what's going to appear on your booking page as the option for a customer to select. The description field also will be seen by a customer, and you can use this to provide them with more information about perhaps what's included or what's excluded from a specific service. Now, we already mentioned address from the business information page, but perhaps you've got multiple locations, or perhaps you offer some of your services out of a different location. So if that's the case, then you can use this default location field here to specify an alternate address. So perhaps you've got multiple salons, one for certain types of haircut and another for other types. You can alternate the locations across those. If the service you're providing is an online service, maybe you're doing lessons and you're doing those remotely, then you've got the option here to add an online meeting. And what that will do is when a booking is created, it will include a Microsoft Teams meeting link on the invitation so that you can automatically have all that information included in the invite, and you can get online and provide your service that way. Default duration is where we specify how long that service will last. So we can obviously specify days, hours, and minutes. And what's useful is this option underneath here, buffer time. So we've got a toggle switch here where we can turn this on and off. And what we can do with buffer time is we can specify a period of time either before or after appointments are entered into the calendar that will be unavailable for people to book. So perhaps after each appointment, you need 10 to 15 minutes to give you time to grab a drink, clean your tools and equipment. Then we can specify that after each appointment, there will be a 15-minute period where customers can't book. And what will happen is if somebody books this 30-minute appointment slot via the bookings page, you'll then see that if another customer tries to come in and book an appointment, that 15 minutes after that previous appointment will be greyed out and unavailable. Now the next option here is really useful. It's turned off by default, but we can simply just toggle the switch here to turn that on, and that's for enabling customers to manage their own appointment. So with this option enabled, once a customer has made an appointment, they can then come back into the bookings page and change it later on. So perhaps you want to give customers the flexibility to be able to cancel appointments or to change the time of their appointments. Then if this option is enabled, that's going to allow them to do that. Similarly, using Microsoft Bookings, your staff can actually enter bookings into the calendar on behalf of customers. So perhaps a customer calls and you take booking information over the telephone, then you can actually enter this into the booking calendar for the customer. And then with this option enabled, the customer, even though the booking was created by you, still has the ability to go in and edit that afterwards. So we already mentioned price and that you can specify the currency from the business information page. The price that we specify here is what will be shown on the booking page. Now obviously this isn't integrated with any kind of payment system. This is purely just to give the customers information. So if we click on this drop down menu here where it says fixed price, we've got a few different options. So the default that we've specified for this service is a fixed price of £20. But perhaps you want to say to customers that it starts at a particular value, or it's an hourly service, or you can even just leave this and say price not set or price varies. There's an internal notes field here where you can add some text just for your use internally. Then moving down, we've got the ability to specify custom fields. So if we hit modify here, you'll see that by default, we've got these 4 fields here. So customer email, phone number, customer address, and customer notes. And you can toggle these as required on or off as you need. So as we mentioned in the video intro, perhaps you're using this service to try and capture certain information to comply with some of the new government rules. So perhaps you need to capture some additional information. What we can do is we can hit the add a question option at the top here. And you've got 2 options. We can either add a custom text box or we can add a drop down menu question where it's multiple choice. So if we just say add a text question, we can type in the title of the question. Perhaps we want to ask the customers what their current hair color is, so that if they're asking for us to do some hair dye for them, we can perhaps adjust the mix of the dye to account for what their current hair color is. And with that specified now, that field will become visible on the booking page, which we'll see in a minute. So once a customer's made a booking, we can specify some reminders and some confirmations, and we can specify when those occur. So you can see there's 2 here by default that says 1 to acknowledge and confirm the appointment for the customer, and then an additional one that will serve as a reminder. And we can specify when these are sent, and we can also specify whether to send this reminder to the customer or to the staff or to both. We can add additional reminders as well. So if a customer's made a booking really far in advance, we might want to say add maybe a customer's made a booking 1 month in advance. So we might want to send them a reminder 1 week before, so that if the customer needs to cancel, we've got some notice on that, and then we can do an additional reminder on 1 day. There's also a box here where we can type some additional information that will appear in the email confirmation that gets sent to the customer once they've made the booking. We've got the option here to say whether this service is included on the booking page or not. So if you're getting your services in order and maybe you're working on some additional services that you just want to get ready in the back end but don't make available to the customers yet, we can untick this so that they're not visible to the customer. Now the online scheduling options section here is really useful. So we can see that there's the default scheduling policy, which is currently enabled, which is why these boxes are all grayed out. However, if we untick this, these boxes light up and we've now got the ability to change them. So here we can specify lead times. So perhaps we don't want customers making appointments less than 24 hours in advance so that we get some notice about those. And equally, we don't want customers to make appointments more than 30 days in advance. So we can specify those here. Lastly, if we just carry on scrolling down, we can see that there's some more options here. So if you want to allow customers to pick specific members of staff when they're making the booking, we know that with hairdressers, people tend to kind of go with the same hairdresser each time. So you could have this option turned on, and with that enabled, when the customer is looking at the booking page, they'll be able to actually select the names of the staff that they want to work with. If the kind of service that you're offering doesn't really justify that, then you can untick this box here, and then what will happen is when the customer makes a booking, they'll just be placed with any staff member that is available at the time that they've selected. We've also got some additional options just down here. This last one in particular is going to be useful at the moment. So what we can do is we can say availability, and that's going to determine whether or not this is actually going to be available. So we've already specified further up here that the service is going to appear on the booking page, but perhaps you want to make a service visible to customers on the booking page, but maybe you don't want them to be able to make bookings just yet. So what you could do is from this drop down here, you could specify not bookable, and that will mean that they'll be able to see that the service is there, but they won't be able to book it just yet. Also, if we're thinking about the July 4th date that the UK government have set, then perhaps what you might want to do is specify that during particular time ranges, these bookings of services aren't available. So what we've done here is we've specified that between the 24th of June and the 4th of July that this service is not bookable. And when we look at the calendar on the booking page in a minute, you'll see what that means is that the service will appear in the booking page. The service will be bookable. However, the customer won't be able to select any dates prior to July the 4th. Once you've filled out everything that you need on here, we can simply hit save, and then that service is ready to go. Now we mentioned staff, so if we take a look at the staff option here, you can see that we can add our staff members that are working in our establishment here. And when we go to add staff, we can enter their name and just some information about that member of staff. And maybe that member of staff only works certain hours on specific days, so we can specify those. So we can either say that this person is available for all hours that the business is open, or if this person only works certain days, then we can uncheck this box and it's going to allow us to manually set this. So perhaps this person doesn't work on Saturdays, so we can simply hit the cross there, and that will show now if a customer tries to select this specific member of staff, that they'll only be able to request appointments for this person from Monday to Friday. Once you've got all your staff members added, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to head back over to the services page, and for each of your services, you're going to need to assign staff to them. So we can see here right now, it says no staff assigned. So perhaps if you're in a hairdresser's, you've got some members of staff that do men's hair, some members of staff that do ladies' hair. Maybe you've got some members of staff that do dye, some members of staff that are specially trained in other services. So what we can do is we can assign the staff members to each of the relevant services so that when a customer tries to book a service, they won't accidentally end up being booked to a member of staff that's not actually able to fulfill that customer appointment. Okay, so now that we've got all of our staff and our services and business information configured, it's time for us to head over to the booking page and actually configure that. So if we select the booking page option here, we can see that we've got all of the options for our booking page. So on the right hand side here, we can specify a theme. There's some default out of the box themes, but if you know what you're doing with color codes, then there is an option here where we can specify a custom color scheme, and you can enter these as hexadecimal codes. You can choose whether or not the logo is displayed on the booking page, and if you're a multinational company or if you're working in various time zones, then you might want to choose the option here just to control how booking time slots are shown in respect to different time zones. Over on the left hand side, we can say whether or not use of the booking page requires a sign-in account from Microsoft 365. Now, if you're planning on using this with members of the public, then obviously you're going to want this turned off. However, what is useful is if you're planning on perhaps using Microsoft Bookings internally inside your organization, then you could turn this on, and that means that the use of this booking page is only going to be for people inside your company. If you want to show a message on your booking page about data collection, so this is especially important in the UK because you need to consider the GDPR rules about handling of customer information, then you can enable this option here and you can type a message in here just to give customers some information about how you deal with their personal data. Then if we scroll down, we can configure the scheduling policy. So this is the global scheduling policy that's going to apply to all of your services. But if you remember just a minute ago when we looked at configuring a service, we are able to customize this on a per service basis. If we keep scrolling down, you'll see some familiar options here. These are the same as the options that we had on the services page. But again, these are the global settings here. So we can either set them globally here, or we can set them at per service level on the services area. Once you've got everything on this page configured how you want it to, you can hit the Save and Publish button, and what you'll see then is this grey box up at the top here with the green check to say Published, and that's going to give you both a link to directly go to your Publish page now, and you've also got the option here to copy a link to your booking page so that if you want to send that in an email to somebody. If you want to be able to embed this booking page perhaps into a website, then you can see that we've got the option up here in the toolbar that says Embed. And if we click on that, we're given two options. So you can either take the top option, which is going to generate an anchor hyperlink. So you can paste this into your website and that will produce a hyperlink on the page that somebody can click to come to the booking page. Alternatively, you can use this second option here, which is an iframe. And an iframe is the ability to embed a web page within a web page. So if you use this iframe option, then the booking calendar will actually appear as if it's inside your page. So we can hit done here, and what we'll do is we'll just click the Open Publish Page link to take us over to the booking page so that we can see what our published page looks like. Okay, so we can see here that we're on the booking page for our fictitious fuzzy hair company, and we can see that we've got our two different services that we published available. So we've got a haircut for long hair and a haircut for short hair. So we can select short hair, and we can see that we've got a drop down here to select specific members of staff. So this service has only got one member of staff assigned at the moment, and that's me. So we can click my name, and then we can say that we want that service to be specifically provided by Richard, or alternatively, we can just leave that set to anybody, and then that's going to show us the appointment availability for all of the members of staff. Now looking at the calendar control here, you can see that all of these dates in June are greyed out, and that's because we set the availability on this service to not start until July the 4th. So if we fast forward in the calendar view to July, we can see now that all the dates prior to the 4th of July are still greyed out, and all of the Sundays are greyed out because we've said that this company is only open Monday to Saturday. However, all the dates after the 4th and Monday to Saturday are shown in black, and they're highlighted just by the theme colour that you specified for the page. So we can choose a day that works for us. We can pick a time from the availability of our staff. And then as we scroll down the page, we can see that there's the fields here for the customer to enter to provide their information. And once the customer enters this and hits the book button, what will happen is the customer will be sent an email confirming their booking. You will be sent an email confirming the booking as the member of staff that is booked onto that appointment. Now, in the back end, what will also happen is on the calendar page here, we will see all of the appointments for all of our members of staff listed here. So if you've got a computer in the office or something in a common area, then you could maybe have this signed into this page to use as like a system for people to be able to see what their day looks like. You've also got an option at the top here that says print. So if you wanted to, in the morning perhaps, print off a copy of your schedule for the day so that you can have that with you, that option's there. Now, obviously, one of the things that we're interested in here is collecting the customer information so that we can be compliant with the government rules about tracing. So what happens here is if we head down to the customers link, we'll see that when customers have entered their information, it will get entered here into this customers page, and any information that the customer has entered has been retained. So for any reason you need to go back and contact a customer, you can come to the customers page, find them in the list, and all of their information will be available for you to access. If you need to delete the customer information because you don't need to keep it any longer, they haven't made an appointment for a while, or the customer requests that their information is deleted, then you can just come in here and hit the delete option, and that will remove that customer's records from the system. I'll just give you an example of how Microsoft Bookings can look in a real world scenario. So we use Microsoft Bookings at Arcible as a way for our customers to be able to book appointments with us. And what we've done is we've integrated this with our website system. So for us, if a customer visits arcible.com/book, what will happen is you'll see that that address is rewritten and changed from our nice friendly short Arcible URL into the full address for the Microsoft Bookings page for customers to make Arcible bookings. So hopefully you found this video introducing you to Microsoft Bookings useful, and it's given you enough that you can now get going, get started, and set up your own bookings page so that you can allow your customers to create their own appointments and allow you to capture the information that you need for those. If you've got any questions, then please do get in touch and we'll be happy to help you. If you've liked this video and it's helped you, then please give the video a like, and why not subscribe to the channel to see when we post new videos about other features and services in Microsoft 365. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.